Lalato, Mishpaka Lalato. Shalom to the 12 tribes in the dispersion. All esteem unto Yahuwah Elohim that I am here to pour forth this message. It's a very serious one, something that has been in my nefesh, and Yahuwah has been pressing me to put out there. I'm going to be of very few words, but my words are going to be spoken from the Ruach HaKodesh. And I will be exposing this wickedness, which is making a covenant with death. In all aspects, I want to point out, first I want to give all esteem unto Yahuwah, that I am here pouring forth this testimony. I'm going to pour forth I'm going to boast in my Abba Yahuwah. I'm going to pour forth the esteem that he deserves, because there's no power greater than Yahuwah's power. There is no power greater than Yahuwah's. All esteem unto Yahuwah. Man, it's the breath of life. What a beautiful thing. And this is a touchy subject for me, because it involves a lot of betrayal. Of course, I've forgiven everyone involved, and Yahuwah has brought me to the understanding where I am at now, and he continues to increase me in understanding. In his understanding, as I stay bowed down and I'm humbled to him, as I stay humbled to him, I stay bowed down to him, he continues to lift me up. He has been healing my body, and he has indeed healed my body, and he has removed all unclean spirits. Baruch Hashem Yahuwah Hamalek. Shalom, beloved. Shalom. Shalom. And it's a joyful, do not be mistaken, this is a joyful message. And we are going to go deep. And we're going to see I'm going to show you the exact opposite, the other side. I'm going to show you the darkness. I'm going to show you exactly what Yahuwah has delivered me out of. And delivered me from. I'm going to show you straight from the mouth of a black magic priest who invokes and worships the Santa Muerta, if you will, or death, because this is what making a covenant with death is. I'm going to go into the scriptures. Of course, this is selling your soul. All of that, it all goes hand in hand. You see, the one who has the power over death, shalom, beloved. The one who has power over death, according to the forefathers, is, of course, Hashatan. So we have to understand that all of this, and Hashatan has deceived the world in many, many, many different ways. And there are multiple unclean demons being invoked in these things, and I'm going to teach directly against it. I'm going to teach directly against it according to the Debar of Yahuwah. I'm going to expose, because it's not me convicting or judging anyone, but I'm going to, because their own mouths witness against them. They're going to tell you themselves exactly what they do. They're going to go into their feast days, and you're going to see the great delusion that is overtaking the Arets. So, but this is all Yahuwah's plan. So understand this. Yahuwah has delivered me from such evil so that I may bring it to the forefront, and I may present these great, awesome things that Yahuwah has done for me, in me, around me, and continues to do so, and what he has delivered me from. And whereas I was cursed in everything that I did prior to this happening, to Yahuwah bringing me out of this from one day to the next, and what he has continued to do to show me, and I'm going to share this with you and we're going to delight in his awesome kindnesses, his everlasting kindnesses. Because let me say right now that I did not deserve any of it. I did not deserve his kindnesses. The wickedness that I did, I deserved death. I deserved death. I deserved it, and rightfully so. They were trying to invoke it. But a curse does not come without a cause, Mishpaka. And these people know who to prey on. They prey on those who are filled with sin. Of course, we know these demons, they seek out dry places. But this is what I'm trying to say. I'm not going to stray off the subject. Of course, I'm going to give the testimony, and I'm going to further shed light on what a covenant of death, what it is to make a covenant with death. But not only that, this black magic sorcerer who goes, it's heathen. Make no mistake about it. He is my enemy. He is the enemy. He is the enemy of Yahuwah. But he goes by the name of Hotep Beniti Amun Ra, a heathen. And this is from his YouTube teaching, and I will share it for those. And this is not something that you just go in. This is very negative, very evil. I want you to understand that if you do not have a relationship, a strong, firm, steadfast relationship, emunah in Yahuwah, with Yahuwah, and Yahuwah is your trust. You have put your trust in Yahuwah, and you have made him your trust. Well, then you are able to stand on that rock. But if you are not standing on that rock, I don't suggest that you go into any of this. I suggest that you seek his face. Seek his face without ceasing. Seek it early and enter into covenant with him. Because this is what the message is. The covenant, to enter into the covenant with Yahuwah. What is the covenant with Yahuwah? The covenant of life. Everything that Yahuwah says we shall do. This is the covenant of life. The Torah. Everything that Yahuwah has commanded us we shall do. This is the covenant that we are coming into. Those of us who truly seek to do the will of Yahuwah, we are the covenant that we, Shalom Aki, the covenant that we seek. This is the covenant of life. We choose to come into this covenant of life, which is the righteous Torah. Anything that he says, we shall do. Right? So let me give testimony on the things that that Yahuwah delivered me from. All esteem unto Yahuwah. All esteem unto Yahuwah that I am here. I did not deserve. I did not deserve his everlasting kindnesses. I did not deserve that quote unquote mercy that he showed me. And for a while after he pulled me out of the darkness, I could for a long time after that, for a good while after that, I could not understand why Yahuwah had chosen me. I was like, why me? I was filthy, and I could not understand. But now I fully understand. I have to operate in the authority that he gives us. And this is something that I want to share. Also, now the authority that he has given us, we operate in this authority. I operate in this great authority that he gives us. He gives us the authority over the unclean spirits. He gives us the authority to cast out those unclean spirits. But you have to give them the disclaimer that they must keep the righteous Torah of Yahuwah and enter into covenant, or bad things will come, and 7 times more. And then 7 times more, and 7 times more, and 7 times more, according to Dabarim 28, of course. Wayikra 26 as well. Leviticus 26 and Dabarim 28, and all throughout the scripture. So yes, August 23rd, 2015. And a shout out to salute to my beloved Ak, Yashai Ban Yasharal, who went in on the birthdays yesterday. And let me say that this particular instance, this day, August 23rd, 2015, was my so-called my quote-unquote best friend's birthday. My best friend's name was Rooster. His name is Rooster. Many of his family are on my friends list, but I do this for y'all too because I want y'all to get this message. I want y'all to understand what's going on. I want everyone to understand, because Yahuwah does not wish that anyone should perish. He does not wish that anyone should perish, but that we should inherit everlasting life in the Mashiach Yahusha. This is what I'm going to teach. I'm going to bring the light out in such a world of darkness. So let's go to August 23rd, 2015. And I was in the deepest, darkest place ever. Spiritually broke, physically broke. I was sick. I was dying. I had maybe like a year or so before that, I got real super sick. And, I was coming out with these boils, like very similar to like what Job was experiencing. And I had one on my back, very huge. And even after that, this is my best friend. I called, I would do anything for this person. Matter of fact, I took 7 years in prison. In 2009, I took 7 years in prison for my brother. But anyway, and there's I've forgiven everyone, everybody, all parties involved. I understand exactly what's going on and what Yahuwah was doing. Yahuwah used him in a mighty way that angers him. So understand this. So what happened was this, I got real sick, very sick. They had initiated a death curse on me. Let me tell you this. But I didn't have any kind of knowledge. I didn't have no knowledge of, no spiritual knowledge. I believed in Cesar Borgia. I believed in that white image, that Laban image, that Laban image, if you will, or that false image of the Mashiach. I believed in that, because I'd been taught that all of my life, and of course those people prey on that. But anyway, but I was swift to do wickedness. I was swift to do evil. I was very swift to do evil always. And even these individuals, they're younger than me, but they looked up to me because I was very swift to do evil. But I had no spiritual nothing. There was no spirit. I was spiritually blind. The veil was there. So I had got very, very sick, dying sick. And my blood pressure was through the roof, my anxiety and my depression, and I was being tormented by demons. And the only way to make those demons to calm those demons down was to feed them drugs, sorcery, and actually these drugs were provided by these people usually. They went out of their way to to provide this pharmakia, which is sorcery. And we'll go on. We'll get into that. But they incorporate that drug sorcery, of course. So I got very sick. So I a couple of days prior to August 23rd, 2015, which was my best friend's birthday, I contacted him. About 4 or 5 days, I contacted him before that, and I told him, look, bro, like I said, I did 7 years in prison for this dude. I did 4 years. I got out 3 years with 3 years parole. And while I was in there, he was getting very, very, very deep into the witchcraft and worshiping this death and making that covenant with death and solidifying the pact that he was making with death and the devil and the grave. So I contacted him and I said, hey, man, I'm sick, bro. I'm dying, bro. I need you to look out for me, bro. And I felt like he owed me that. Because I would go through great extent, and not even just the prison part, but things would happen. People would get robbed. He'd lose product. He would call me. But again, these individuals are weak physically in the physical realm. They're weaklings, so they're seeking to enlighten themselves through the spiritual, so that they may have power over those who are weak in the spiritual. Because of course the spiritual realm is what's controlling, if you will. Yahuwah is the one in control. Let me state that. Let me make that statement, because Yahuwah is in complete control. And there are certain spirits that were created for death and destruction and all of these things, and these people are invoking these spirits. You see. So I can't, so I tell him, I'm like, look, bro, I need you to look out for me, bro. I'm dying, bro. Literally, this is what I tell him. I'm dying. I need you to look out for me, And he says, all right, we'll come to the studio. So I go to the studio, which is this little trailer in this trailer park outside of my neighborhood in the middle of the country, kind of far off in the outskirts. And of course, it's a very super small trailer, like one of the smallest trailers that you could imagine. And it with a huge altar, almost 6 feet tall, all the way to the roof of these death idols. And also incorporating different voodoo idols and different things like that, but mostly concentrating on the idol death, on the death idol. So I'm there, and I have this extreme feeling of death upon me, and everywhere I look is a statue of death. Everywhere, it's just death was upon me. I was being tormented by these demons inside and around me, everywhere I went. So I was there about 4 or 5 days before his birthday, and I could not sleep because, like I said, I was being tormented. And it was his birthday, and in the morning he tells me, and I was not able to sleep at all. Like I said, I was being tormented by these demons. And I felt death upon me. And anyway, so, it was his birthday in the morning, and he was like, look, bro, he's like, bro, you feel like doing a tattoo or what? Because, of course, let me go back and say that, I had tattooed professionally and mostly in penitentiary and in the streets, but also in shops, and had learned under, quote unquote, good tattoo artists or whatever. That's not important. That is let me state that is a transgression of the Torah. And Yahuwah told me to never ever do it again, and that I would never ever do it again, and He would provide shortly after this time that I'm telling you. So, I was very very deep involved in this wickedness, in this defiling of the flesh, if you will, so of course they're trying to entice me to sin. They were trying to entice me to sin. So they were trying to so he says, hey, you feel like doing a tat? And I, of course, like I said, I was dying. I was sick. I was dying. I was on my deathbed, literally, and I didn't even have a bed to lay in. This is how bad I was off. And of course, they were trying to entice me to sin. He was trying to get me to tattoo, but the Ruach, Yahuwah, would not let me. Yahuwah would not let me. Yahuwah was with me even at that, because He makes darkness His covering. And this is what He did in this situation. So and my so-called brother, he pushes the issue. He pushes the issue like, I tell him, no, bro. I'm like, look, I said, man, I couldn't even hold my hand still. My nerves were so bad. My blood pressure was so bad. But he pressed the issue like, oh man, you ain't got no money, bro. Woo, 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 woo. They entice you, they pressure you. So I tell him, man, you know what, bro? All right, tell him to come over. He said, man, he just wants a name, man. You make $30 real quick, woo, 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 So I tell him, man, you know what? Tell him to come over. So it's his birthday, like I said, and he's got these random cats coming over to freestyle. They're freestyle, doing a birthday freestyle, if you will. And I'm gonna cut straight. I'm gonna go straight through it, I got very sick, and like I said, I was very, very, very sick. That day, there was I was on my deathbed. I was at death's door. Death was at my door, or whatever you want to call it. So, in the midst of all this, I told him, man, I gotta go lay down, bro. I'm sick. I'm dying. So he was like, all right, go lay in my bed. So I go lay in his bed, and while I'm there, like I said, I'm at my lowest point, very sick, barely hanging on by a thread, and I cry out to, at the time I called Yahuwah God, and I cry out to him, I ask him, I tell him, I say, man, why do I feel like this? I'm asking him to take it away from me, like I'm crying out to him. Of course, I don't hear anything. But I hear this one cat, he's freestyling, and I don't ever really mess with this cat, you know, but he's on the label that me and my brother established. Of course, I established the name. I put all the work in, most of the work in the streets for it, you know. He was the one that's, you know, more in touch with the knowledge of the industry. And this is what it all comes down to, was it was all behind fame and fortune, all for the love of money. Will these people kill their own, even people who would die for them and don't even care about money? You know, it's loyalty to me, but it was loyalty to the wrong ones. And now my loyalty is unto Yahuwah, all esteem unto Yahuwah, Elohim, my Elohim. So, you know, I hear this cat, and he's rapping, and his name is, I thought his name was Raw, and I've said this before, I've given this testimony before, but I thought his name was Raw, like R-A-W, but the whole time this cat's name was Ra, like the Egyptian deity, if you will. And also Ra means, of course, we know Ra means evil in the Hebrew. I didn't know. I had no kind of knowledge, you know. But I hear he's rapping, and he was shooting slugs all the way at me, like, just, you know, and I could tell that, you know, he had some hostility in him towards me. So even in my state that I was in, and I still had that pride, if you will, I'm not going to let anybody talk about me type stuff. I still had that pride. I get up to go see what, you know, to see if this individual is going to address it. You know, even though I did feel like I was dying, you know, and I come out, and he switches his rap up, but that the cat who wanted the tattoo is sitting there, you know. And when he comes out, you know, he was like, when I come out, he was like, what's up, bro? You all right? You don't look good. You good or what? You know? And I'm like, nah, man, I'm sick, bro. I'm dying, bro. I knew who he was. I knew he was the one that wanted the tat, you know. Although I had never met this guy in my life, but he was a witch, a warlock, or whatever you want to call it, sorcerer. Okay. So, you know, he says, well, you all right? You good? I said, nah, man, I'm dying. I'm sick. So everybody leaves, and leaves me and him there. You know, so I tell him, and I'm sick. I could not even hold my hands steady or nothing. Like I just, you know, and I tell him, look, bro, I can't tattoo you, man. I can't. I said, look at my hand, and I'm shaking. Literally, I'm shaking. You know, and I felt like I was gonna have an aneurysm in my head. You know, I had these veins in my temples were just like throbbing in my feet as well. You know, and so we sit down. I say, look, bro, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't tattoo, bro. I said, but look, but the best thing that I can do is I'm going to take you to this tattoo shop where I was working at. You know, I had been, prior to me getting sick and all that, you know, I was working at this shop in my neighborhood. And I tell him, look, man, you know, I'm a man of my word. You know, and you know, so I tell him, I'm going to take you to get this tattoo, you know. I say, but you know, in the morning, I say, man, because I'm sick, you know. Of course, you know, these people were plotting seriously, you know, and they were all in on it. They all knew what was going on. So, we sit down, like I said. He said, well, you know, man, he tells me, I don't want to go home. He says, all right, bro. He's like, but can I chill here with you? He goes, man, because my house is haunted. But he told me this because, like I said, everywhere I went and inside and around me, I was being tormented by these unclean spirits and by these demons that were being invoked through this magic and all that. So, you know, he says, hey, you know, I don't want to go home. My house is haunted. Woo, woo. So I'm like, all right. So this dude starts telling me his life story. And his life story is my life story. So I start really tripping now. Now I'm dying sick, and now this dude's life story matches exactly mine to the T. So they're using that confusion and their manipulation. See what according, I'm going to show you what this black magician says. He says that magic is the manipulation of the subconscious mind. So my mind was all the way manipulated. This is exactly what they do. You see, so this was part of that manipulation. So now I'm really tripping because he was telling me his life story, and it's matching my life story. So then everyone comes back. They had left to do whatever, maybe perform some kind of ceremony, some kind of whatever ceremony had to be performed in this case, because like I said, let me share further. So they come back, and like I said, I'm sick and I'm dying, and the only thing that would help me was pharmakia in the form of Xanax, because my blood pressure was so high. And this dude has my so-called brother had Xanax on tap, but he refused to give me any, because of course he was invoking all of this stuff, and he was playing me and manipulating me, all of these things, So when they come back, they're partying still, drinking, doing meth and whatnot, and there, like I said, there's a studio. Of course, keep in mind, there's a huge altar. It's got all kind of statues, all kind of candles. There's the biggest statue. It had a lantern. This statue of death had a lantern, and he would put candles in it. And then, in this particular instance, I smelt hair burning. He had lit a candle, and I smelt hair burning. And Yahuwah told me later that it was my hair. So anyway, they pull me. They're all in a little room. It's a little 2-bedroom trailer, but the room in the front is set up. There's a keyboard, and there's a recording booth, and there's a couch, and it's my so-called brother Rooster, his friend Blunt, who I had met quite a few times before that, but was just seemed, and like I'm going to share this. These people do it. They don't seem like they would be these type of people. Of course, they're evil and wicked, but the loyalty that they have to the devil, Hashatan, this loyalty it's far surpasses most of the house of Yasharal that I have for Yahuwah, and that's sad. But I'm just waiting for the fullness. I'm just waiting on Yahuwah and working out my salvation. But at the same time, I'm warning, because this is what we are called to do. We are called to warn the house of Yasharal, whether they listen or not. So, like I said, he pulled me into this room, to this room, and he puts his arm around me, and they're kind of around me. And he tells me, "Yeah, bro." He says, "We're fixing to blow up, bro. We're fixing to put the hood on the map. We're fixing to blow the tone up." He says, he said, "We're fixing to be rich. We're fixing to be famous." And when I say when he's saying we, I think he's talking about me and him, or us. But nah, he wasn't talking about. He was talking about them that were in the room and not me. But he said, "Yeah, we're fixing to be rich. We're finna blow the hood up. We're finna put the tone on the map." He says, "We're finna be rich, famous." He goes, and he looks straight at me like this. He tells me, "But the devil wants your soul." And starts laughing wickedly, like just wicked laughing. And everybody else in the room starts laughing wickedly. And I kind of laughed too. I'm like, I thought, he was joking, but at the same time, I knew that he was not joking. I knew it, So they go back to partying and whatnot, And almost immediately, I get a sign from Yahuwah. And there's a song on, but the music's on very low. But when the song's on, when the song comes on, it sounds like the music is blasting in my ears like I got headphones on. And Yahuwah's telling me to leave. He's telling me that I had been betrayed. He's telling me that these weren't my brothers. And then in another song, a whole different song comes on, and it's same thing. A little while later, another song comes on, and it's very similar to, and the message is, get out, leave. Be aware of what's going on. And at that point, I thought maybe I had died. You know, I had many brushes with death, many instances in death where Yahuwah had delivered me from death before, but I had not even know it because it was not my time yet. But now I had thought that I had actually died. So I'm getting these signs. I didn't know. I thought I had actually died or something. So I thought maybe I was these signs were I was in hell or something. You know, I didn't know any better. So as the night progressed, I started feeling better. You know, like progressively better. Of course, like I said, I was super sick, super. I was dying sick, and I started feeling progressively better as the night progressed. You know, as it got darker and darker and later in the night. And as the night progressed, the look in their faces started changing. And it wasn't no more the way that when they presented that the devil wanted my soul, the way that they were laughing and all ecstatic. This wasn't their demeanor anymore. Now their demeanor was, they were more cautious, more scared, and it got cautious, went from cautious to like, wow, like what's going on, like didn't know what was going on, to wow, like it went from concern to anger at the very end. Anger at the very end. Everybody had left except my so-called brother whose house it was, and the individual who wanted the tattoo, who I was supposed to take to the tattoo shop in the morning, whom I did. And like I said, I progressively felt better, and as the day drew near, and the sun started to break, now his demeanor completely changed, and now he was angry. You know, and I was just looking for my way out. Like I said, we were in the middle of nowhere. We were in the country, you know, in the middle of nowhere, you know, and I would not have been able to leave on foot at night. I would have definitely been killed in some way. But his righteousness is, Yahuwah's righteousnesses go forth every morning. His kindnesses are renewed. You see, so when that morning came, he was mad. And he even made a statement, like he told me, you gotta go find your people, dog. You gotta go find your people, dog. And I was like, and I laughed because I was like, bro, you are my people. What you talking about? You know. And it's full of shalom. I'm full of shalom now. You know, it was the most trying. Let me say this: the fear of Yahuwah, the fear of Yahuwah turns one away from evil. And this is what happened, because they invoked all of these unclean spirits and all this death and whatnot. But yet Yahuwah invoked His Spirit into me and told me, keep my commands and live, and speak life to others, and operate. And shortly after this, I had a parole violation to go face, and Yahuwah put me through every situation that I would have to be put in, so that I would understand the authority that He gives us by the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach, that we must operate in, and the state that we must keep ourselves in, the state of cleanliness that we must keep ourselves in for Yahuwah to dwell in us. So this is what I'm teaching. I'm going to pinpoint this video. I'm going to pinpoint this video from this heathen, Hotep Beniti Amun Ra, who teaches this covenant with death. Let me pull it up real quick. And I'm just going to PowerPoint it. Certain I took notes so that I could pinpoint exactly where he says certain things at, because like I said, his mouth witnesses against him. Therefore, and then I would also show the authority, like I said, that we have over death to speak life, and speak life into others, and speak healing, and speak the Torah into others. May Yahuwah open the minds and the hearts of individuals to understand his righteous Torah and to live it out and to embody it as Yahushua HaMashiach does. Pull this up. So the dude's gonna introduce himself and whatnot. Pull this up.
Okay, Beniti Amun Ray, back with another class. The topic we're going to do today, so I've gotten actually quite a few emails about it, and we've done some stuff on the radio show about it. Haven't really got into it in any of the YouTube videos. We're going to talk about La Santísima Muerte, or what they call the Holy Death. We're going to, kind of tie it into modern times, where that specific deity or archetype energy is in its perspective now, and then kind of take it back to some of the history or origins of its roots that some say the essence of this deity called the Holy Death comes out of. Now, this is a particular energy myself personally that I work with personally, and it's a very powerful archetype energy or deity, whatever you want to call it. It definitely opens roads. You can do high levels of spiritual magic with this deity, but you definitely need to be educated and definitely know how to work with that power and energy. So we're going to go over that today. The Holy Death today, as most people know it on the surface, has its origins and connection in Mexican, Catholicism or Catholic culture. Just as you see in modern day, what they call Santeria amongst the Latin American community, whether it's Cubans, Puerto Ricans, or the 21 divisions amongst the Dominicans. A lot of them have their roots in what we would call this type of spiritual system. There's very similar practices in all the aforementioned systems. A lot of it's been diluted in modern day, unfortunately, with a lot of this Christian Catholicism. So that myth needs to be debunked. All right. As you see in Ifo or Santeria, the synchronization with Catholic saints, and I think I've mentioned this before in previous class.
Notice what he said in the synchronization of Catholic saints. These people you see that they have these idols and whatnot. They incorporate the use also. They use they simultaneously use the idols of the Catholic religion to invoke these same spirits, if you will.
That was only done during slave times, because when the Portuguese slave masters, for an example, who captured a lot of the slaves from the west coast of Africa, enslaved the West Africans, most of those Portuguese slave masters were Catholics, and they enforced that religion on the slaves. And basically the slaves would synchronize their worship of the Orishis behind these Catholic saints. So they would venerate Santa Barbara or Saint Barbara as Shango. They would venerate different aspects of the Virgin Mary as YAHUAH or Oshun. Saint Peter would be an example, or a synchronization with Ogun, etc. The list goes on and on and on and on. Well, with the Holy Death, they've synchronized in modern times the Holy Death with a lot of different aspects of the Virgin Mary, and they've tied it in, especially when you go to Mexico, and connected it with a lot of Catholicism or Catholic worship, when in its essence it really has nothing to do with it. She does represent the angel of death. That's the energy that you're working with. And in that energy, not death in the sense of gloom and doom, because people get confused with this shit. Death in the sense...
Yahuwah is not the author of confusion.
Of renewal, regeneration, tapping into what we would call, for lack of a better word, the spiritual realm, working with those higher spiritual forces. We're going to break down the different aspects of this particular spirit or deity. Now, when you trace its ancient origins back, you have to go back to the Aztecs, okay? And the Aztecs, their synchronization, or some say ancient legends that take it more back to an ancient tradition prior to Catholicism. They will say that this is a representation of Mitecuhtli, who is the goddess of the underworld in Aztec culture when you research it. The goddess of death, the goddess of the underworld, one that guides one into the realm as per se Anubu or Anubis would in ancient Egypt. That angel of death that comes for the soul and guides the initiate, through the netherworld or the underworld and guides that soul to get to its point of destination, okay? The powers of working with this deity are tremendous. But one, again, needs to be educated and work correctly with it, because if you do not work correctly with this deity, and I don't say this shit in no spooky sense, or I don't say this in no, trying to scare people bullshit, because I don't believe in that. I believe that you're literally either ready to work with it or you're not. Because if you have any doubts in working any type of black magic or spiritual magic, then that's your answer right there. You shouldn't do it. Excuse me, sorry. That's your answer right there. You shouldn't do it if there's any doubts. So that's any system, not just this. You have three different aspects when you work with this deity, and we'll kind of break it down. They have the red, the white, and the black aspect. Okay, we're gonna get into a little bit of that. All right. I'm gonna take an excerpt to give you a little bit of the history of Santissima
into the
Muerta,
history.
the Death. I'm going
to PowerPoint a few things because I don't want anybody to get sidetracked in what he's saying and all this confusion and all this delusion.
Practitioner, okay. Here's just a little bit of background in history. All right. Different people recount different legends about her, but the most common perspective of Santissima Muerta is that she is the angel of death. In this way, while she is referred to as a saint, she actually ranks among the archangels, which would also explain her relationship or connection, who they call San Miguel or Saint Michael. In this view, she is the angel of death, who comes to all, and so is the most just of all celestial figures. Since all are subject to death, her power is seen as second only to the Creator, or God. Given the large number of legends surrounding her, the origin of...
Did you hear that? He said second only to Yahuwah, because they know he's going to go into it. This is why also it's called the left-hand path. They know that they're doing destruction work, but they know destruction is coming to them very soon, and they will tell you.
Beach is difficult to trace. However, what is known is that the first depictions of Santissima Muerta seem to have originated from southern Mexico, and to this day, most of the suppliers of occult images found in Mexico City come from the south. There may be some link between Santissima Muerta and the Aztec goddess of death in the underworld, Mitecuhtli, and that's who I was talking about earlier. There are some who even indicate that a single continuous cult of death has continued since Aztec times till modern time, with the death goddess becoming Santissima Muerta, and you can research that. They still venerate that goddess of the underworld. And in my research and from what I've found, I'm gonna say there's plenty of historical evidence to say that the origin of this archetype energy or deity has its ancient roots in the Aztecs. And I like to go more back to the essence and the source of things. I'm not really into all that shit covered with Catholicism. Though some people work it, because remember, like I said, it's whatever works to the subconscious mind. And that's what real magic is, manipulating the subconscious mind. So I just don't feel the need to actually work with that aspect of it. I work mainly with the black aspect of La Santissima Muerta, which you can pretty much use the black form of her, because you'll see her dressed in black, as you see behind me. You'll see a red aspect of it and a white aspect, which we're going to talk about shortly. And they represent different energies. And usually when you work with this energy, which I don't have that here to show you. I'm going to have to take the camera over there. But when you set up her altar, we'll get into that. The importance of the owl plant. And when you work with these energies, there's a lot of symbolicisms. But as I said, I found working with the black aspect of the Holy Death, you can work any type of spiritual magic or any type of spiritual ritual. We'll get into that in a little bit. All right. Historically, there's no clear evidence of continuous cult of death, but the link in the legend is certainly there. There's even a movement by modern Mexican-American neo-pagans to reclaim Santissima Muerte from the folk Catholic cult that has grown around her and reestablish her as a pagan goddess. While there are records of skeletal figures as early as the 19th century, it wasn't until the 20th century that records of Santissima Muerte as both protector and love saint are found. It should be noted that even if a continuous cult of death cannot be historically verified, Mesoamerican culture retained its connection to figures of death even after the conversion to Catholicism, as seen in the celebration in the Day of the Dead, and the figure of El Rey San Pascual. Now, one of the high feast days to work with this energy, which we'll talk about, is...
Listen to this. He's going into their feast days, which, of course, we know that people in general celebrate these same feast days, but they've been put out there as good, if you will.
Coming up, November 1st and 2nd, what they call All Souls Day, which is right after what we call Halloween, the eve of All Souls Day. There's a high spiritual energy that one can work with during those period of times, and especially with La Santissima Muerte, which we'll get into that. All right, so there's some brief history, okay, on the origin of where the Holy Death comes from, okay? Now, there's a lot of stereotypes in working with this deity, as far as some people will for a magician working magic, you need to be very educated on this, because this is going to determine how you work with this energy of these deities, all right? So like all saints and folk saints, Santissima Muerte has become associated with a set of symbols, colors, and numbers. Much of her current images and symbols are a result of the influence of spiritual suppliers, a phenomenon noted by famed folklorist Catherine Yawande, who has examined the image of Santissima Muerte, has changed over the past 10 to 20 years or so. The oldest image of Santissima Muerte were often in a resin color of skeletal figures dressed as brides or in the vestments of the Virgin. However, now people refer to the Grim Reaper image, which to me eliminates all that Catholicism, as traditional. In fact, it was Catherine Yawande who noted that even the skeletal structure was an influence of the spiritual supply shops as modern Grim Reaper. So this is kind of how it evolved into the image you see today. Santissima Muerte statues actually have a male skeletal figure or structure, though they are called female. The adoption of the Grim Reaper, like Santissima Muerte, has resulted in a plethora of traditions on the symbol she depicted with the skith. Okay, you see the Grim Reaper with that too. Though a relatively modern adoption of the cult, they have nevertheless been widely accepted by her followers and devotees. The same can be said about the traditional colors. While now spiritual suppliers are making Santissima Muerte statues in a variety of colors, most curanderos, or those who are practitioners, refer to the red, black, and the white Santissima Muerte as the most traditional of her colors. Again, this is likely the result of spiritual cleansing come up with. But it's just, again, it's an individual that has opened themselves up to an energy that they are not receptive for.
Opening up these doors. This is opening up your doors to evil. Of course, we know that.
But working with the white aspect of La Santa Muerte for doing spiritual cleansings or exorcisms, and one, and I believe this particular book gets into it, one that's very effective in working with the white aspect. You'll see, again, a lot of the similar traditions with other African cultures when you work with this, which is, not a coincidence. There's a very simple ritual one can do with the white aspect of the Holy Death is get 2 white candles, a vigil candle, cigar, rum, a bundle of rue, water, egg, cigar, and rum. And it's basically a spiritual cleansing to remove that negative energy of spirit from an individual. You would rub the smaller white vigil candles in a downward motion, completely front and back through the individual's body. Okay, you would light those candles to burn all that negative energy that you just, clean that person with. You would also.
So he's saying all of this. Let me. Shoot. Let me go back. He's saying all of this. Don't think that he's saying this for nothing. He's not giving you up all of this stuff because he wants what he's leading up to is he wants you to get you to make a covenant with death.
Any excess that was left.
So let me see.
Okay, you would crack that, shifting the plant to the letter, because again, symbolically representing working with this particular deity.
Now listen.
All right. When you start working with this particular deity, or you start working with this energy, okay, you can pick what it is and be clear on your intent, what you're doing. Okay, the unique thing about Santissima Muerte, it's one of the few archetype energies that's not limited in dealing with magical systems as far as methods and what you're trying to obtain. As I said earlier, you can work with this particular deity for finances, relationship, spiritual cleansings. You can propagate this deity or archetype energy for physical healing if you're sick. It provides a healing magical system. And the darker aspect of it, and I want to be clear on this, and this is probably what a lot of people have read and heard about, how a lot of Mexican drug cartels have used the black aspect of Santissima Muerte to destroy their enemies. And I can tell you this, the shit is real, okay? And you've seen news clippings where they've left images or implements of her next to body parts of some people that have been, unfortunately, taken out. But keep this in mind. When you work those darker aspects, you better be in the right, because nothing is free. And
nothing is free. Now listen.
I think people understand that when they work certain magical systems, especially when they're invoking, the holy death or spirits of the dead. Nothing is free. And when you work with the holy death, and especially when you make pacts with this deity, you better keep your pact. And I don't say this in a spooky way to scare the shit out of people, but if you have invoked this energy for a specific purpose, and you've made a pact to, say, venerate, like one of the pacts I've made with the black aspect of the holy death is to continually venerate her image. I constantly have a candle burning for the holy death. I constantly have her image venerated. And I've always invoked the energy specifically for the purpose of keeping my paths clear for higher states of consciousness, because I know if my paths are clear, I work with the black road opener aspect of this deity, and I always meditate and focus on that skiff that she carries, just slashing and removing obstacles and shit out of my way, and opening all paths and roadways to success. And man, I can tell you it's a beautiful thing. And my pact with this specific deity is to always keep her image venerated, to always acknowledge it. Now, one other thing I like to do frequently, again, not mandatory, something I like to do before I work with this energy, if I'm going to do a ritual with the Holy Death, I like to do a spiritual cleansing, something I create myself. And I'll go to the magic store and get a wash. They sell a variation of baths for the Holy Death. And then I like to add my own implements, certain oils I like to put in that bath and charge it. I like to put some white ritual powder in there to charge it. I might put cinnamon, mint, a couple of fresh drops of pure virgin olive oil. I'll put dragon's blood in there, which works good, myrrh. And sometimes you could take a little bit of pure aloe and put that in your bath, etc. Whatever your frequency or your vibration is telling you, that is the most powerful spiritual bath one can make, and charge it with their own personal energy. So I find prior to working with the Holy Death, if I create a certain wash, and then I'll come down to the altar and I'll meditate and I'll relax and I'll get my mind in that higher state or that altered state of consciousness, and then I will go to work and propagate that energy for whatever specific reason it is. But I find the most powerful method of working with the Holy Death is, again, the road opener aspect of it. It's a great energy to work with to clear your paths and your roads to all levels of success, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And like I said, the results are phenomenal. And once you keep that pack, some even like to add the fact you can get parchment paper, okay, and you can get a quill and the dragon's blood ink, and you can do this not just with the Holy Death, but you can do this with any deity. And sometimes people like to write their path out with the Holy Death because it enhances that specific spiritual union. And
let me say that this is his duty to his father, if you will, to bring people into covenant with the grave and with death. You see, as we are to be the light and bring people into covenant with Yahuwah, into the covenant of life. I'm almost done here because this is for educational purposes. I do not want y'all to be ignorant.
And it's very effective, and it leaves a lasting impression on the subconscious mind. So again, you're going to find as you start working and become more educated with any magical system, the most powerful thing is when you start creating your own methodologies, because now as you tap into that energy of this deity, you tap into the creative aspect of this deity, and the communication will be clear. And it's beautiful when you can add your own things to enhance. So again, there's a variation of methods of working this, and I would recommend educating yourself. Get as knowledgeable as you can, because this is a deity that is firm. It's the response and the results you get from the magical workings are clear, and be sure you're ready to get the results that you're asking for, because sometimes it's that old adage, be careful what you ask for. Some people ask for shit they're not ready for. And keep your packs is the best thing I can tell you, as long as you keep your packs. And it's very simple. If you've promised to keep an altar and keep that altar venerated and keep that energy working on that altar, don't get your results and then slack off, okay? Because then you're going to start to see kind of the imbalancement that comes from that. So I kind of wanted to go over that. I wanted to get into some of those aspects. I think I covered the basis of this. Again, you'll find you can pull up a multitude of books and information on this that are going to have various different methods of working with this. Some, again, the more modern.
So listen, he makes a comment right here at 41.
Find out the shit people were telling you to stay away from was the shit you really should have looked into.
So listen to this comment he makes about a soul decision.
Because that's what they were told. But there were others that were doing it because they didn't want you to know what they know. And you'll be surprised. A lot of people are practitioners of these spiritual systems who are very discreet about it. So don't let nobody make up your mind for you. Don't let nobody tell you what you should and should not do. You need to be the one that makes that soul decision, nobody else. Now, if you look into some of these things and the shit ain't for you, then the shit ain't for you, and that's okay. But at least you looked into it, and at least you made the decision, and nobody did it for you. Because as I said before, this shit is not for everybody. And that's fact. It's not for everybody. Some people are meant to be religious and stay religious because it's safe. And as I said before, the left-hand path is not about playing it safe. The left-hand path is about challenging yourself. The left-hand path is about working with energy, working different systems of magic, to bring out the divine in you, or the high aspects of your divine consciousness. And that's what real black magic is about. Tapping into the divine or making the divine consciousness
All esteem unto Yahuwah for delivering me from all of that darkness, and exactly what you saw in that individual there is exactly what I saw in my so-called brother, if not more intense. I'm sure there's more stuff that you can't see. Matter of fact, this guy has a YouTube where they're doing all kind of wickednesses, all kind of evil, all kind of rituals, and it's very sick. Make no mistake about it. That is the covenant with death. That is the covenant that you will have to make if you choose to go against Yahuwah. As far as keeping his Torah and going against Yahuwah and becoming his enemy, you become an enemy to Yahuwah. And the thing is this. So of course we know, like he said, nothing is free. Nothing is free when it comes to that. Like he said, you better know what you ask. You're asking for, But of course we know that through Yahusha, it is free. It is free. It is free to enter in through the door, which is Yahusha HaMashiach, to keep his instruction, to keep the instruction of Yahuwah, and to keep oneself unstained from the world. As Yahusha, showed us in his walk, and in his words, his walk and his words. This is the perfect pattern that we have to follow in Yahusha HaMashiach. Of course, Hebrews chapter 2 and 14 talks about how Hashatan has power over death. Of course, now we know that through Yahusha we have authority over death. You see. So here we are, and I'm exercising this authority. Yahuwah has given us great authority to cast out unclean spirits. But we have to walk in all of his ways. We have to follow his covenant of life, and follow the right-handed path, which is Yahuwah. Yahusha is the right-handed path, the right path. These people are teaching the left-handed path, meaning how to bring destruction, and rightfully so. They seek death, so death is what will come to them. Death is coming to them, you see, and death, the covenant of death is made. It's upon all of those who do not come into covenant with Yahuwah all of the way. Everything that he says we shall do. So I pray that now I'm going to show just one little part, one little clip. And you know what? Just to show how big this is. And this is not something, and this is, we have to seek Yahuwah. We have to do his will, because these people, they go all the way out for their father, Hashatan. You see, I go out for my father, Yahuwah. I'm going to go all out for my father, Yahuwah. I'm going to do exactly what he created me to do, and I'm going to put forth his debar, and may it accomplish exactly what Yahuwah created it to do. So just showing you how big this is right now, and Yahuwah's what Yahuwah is doing is they are making covenants with death and in the grave, and that's exactly where they're going to go very shortly. Let us make a covenant with Yahuwah. Let us come into covenant with Yahuwah, and let us do everything that he says we shall do. Let us enter into life, into eternal life through Yahusha HaMashiach, who is the door. So just a little piece, watch this craziness.
On the first day of every month, thousands of people flock to this ordinary house in Mexico City to take part in a bizarre ritual. The worshippers come to visit the altar of a saint. But this is no ordinary saint. She is Santa Muerte, Saint Death. Each month, more and more people come.
Indeed. Indeed,
the day
beloved.
begins slowly as early bird
All esteem to
pilgrims
Yahuwah.
come to leave their offerings. Alongside the candles and fruit, shots of tequila, marijuana, and cigarettes.
Break them down, destroy them. This is the command. Do not allow a sorcerer to live. That is another command.
En sí no es una cosa que te digan, se le pone esto, no, es lo que tú le quieras poner, una manzana, un dulce, marihuana, una veladora, unas flores, eso es de lo que le nace a uno, pero que le nazca de corazón poner las cosas.
Enriqueta Romero set up this altar at her house 7 years ago.
Yo nada, yo la amo. ¿Qué puedo buscar después de 50 años casi de quererla? ¿Qué quiero? Sus bendiciones, que nos cuide a todos, que nos socorra, que si alguno tiene un hijo preso, pues que salga de la cárcel, bueno o malo de su hijo, que tengan trabajo, que no tengan hijos viciosos, eso es lo que pedimos nosotros.
Eso es mi protectora. Es mi protectora, Señor. Es mi protectora. Es mi Madre Santísima.
The cult of Saint Death is spreading quickly amongst Mexico City's criminal underworld.
Voy a pedirle que me ayude a salir adelante, tener trabajo, y que esté todo mi equipo conmigo, ¿no? Más que nada.
It began in jails with prisoners, and especially prisoners related to drug dealers or to assassins, the kind of people that lost hope.
Yeah, and the
in
kind
life.
of people also that wouldn't have been welcomed by the church.
Yes, of course. That's why she is really the one that takes care of the people that the church, the official church, and the official virgin could never take.
Que vamos por decir así, los delincuentes, los homosexuales, todos ellos se acercan porque para ella no hay prejuicios, ricos y pobres, todos se van, ¿no? Todos nos tenemos que enfrentar a ella. Y en cambio dicen que la religión católica, no, pues que hay cierto que no entran en el cielo y que no entran todo eso. Entonces, ¿qué nos acercamos, no? Buscamos la realidad un poco más que nos convenga.
Like many of these devotees, Thomas believes that worshipping Saint Death is a continuation of the ancient Aztec culture.
Estamos volviendo a creer en lo que era antes lo que nos inculcaron nuestros ancestros, ¿no? Adorar a los muertos desde hace siglos, ¿no? Se les ponen ofrendas, pero eso lo hacíamos antes cada año. Y ahora lo estamos haciendo cada mes.
We can see, Mishpaka, that the delusion and these spirits are overtaking many, and they are coming together. The enemy is bringing his people together, and I witnessed this, and I witnessed the power, the earthly power that these people were getting, and especially this my so-called best friend. You know, like I said, he had that huge altar, and next to it was a stack of gifts that people would bring him. Random people would just bring him gifts, and all of those gifts. It was just that altar was attracting different things, material things, if you will. All esteem unto Yahuwah. Yahuwah's power is so awesome and so mighty that there is no need for any of that outside interference. All you must do is seek him, fear him, and keep his instructions, and that's it. Fear him, seek his face early. The more you draw near to him, the more he draws near to you, and you become one. And then he leads you through his righteous ruach, through his the most awesome gift, which is only a promise of what is to come. His Ruach HaKodesh, which is so awesome, and where I could never find rest, or because there was no shalom for the wicked. You know, I never had any shalom, and now I have found my shalom. I'm very grateful. But I got a lot of work to do. And I will not be sidetracked by anybody who is a stumbling block, or who cannot see the vision that Yahuwah has given me, and not see the things that I see. If they cannot see, can two walk together having not agreed? No. Many will not be able to see what you see, Mishpaka. Many will not. We all have different functions in the body of Yahushua HaMashiach. Operate, find Yahuwah, seek Yahuwah early, without ceasing, so that you may understand what your function in the body of the Mashiach is, and you may operate in it, and so that we may esteem Yahuwah, and that may his righteousnesses go forward every day. And I'm going to close it out with prayer unto our Abba Yahuwah, and give him all thanks and all the glory, all of the praises, all the perfect you lambs of my lips, for he deserves it, for he is truly worthy. All esteem unto Yahuwah. Baruch Hashem Yahuwah HaMelech. Abba Yahuwah, we come humbly before your throne of esteem, Abba Yahuwah, and I thank you for allowing me to present your Debar, Abba Yahuwah, and to present this truth and to shine light upon this truth, upon this darkness, Abba Yahuwah. May you keep our people away from it, those who are yours, Abba Yahuwah, those who are called by your name, Abba Yahuwah. May you draw us into your light, Abba Yahuwah, which is your righteous Tudah, which is your Mashiach, Abba Yahuwah, which is our perfect, most perfect sacrifice, Abba Yahuwah. By the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach, Abba Yahuwah, I thank you. I am here. I present myself. I thank you. I humble myself always. And I'm grateful. And I thank you for the Mishpaka who are present and who will watch this at a later time, Abba Yahuwah. And also may you give the circumcision of the Lave, Abba Yahuwah, unto those who truly seek you, Abba Yahuwah, for this is only for those who seek you. We thank you, Abba Yahuwah. Amen. Shalom, Mishpaka.